feels nice to be that calm, right? Because most of the time, we're kind of not. Most of the time. So my talk today, I called the good monkey mind. And surely everyone here has heard the expression, the monkey mind. And it's such a good title because we're actually like, it's like running. And I don't know about you, but I have been so closely following the exploits of a particular monkey. Has anyone else been following this? Yeah. Yes. Punch, if you don't know, is this poor little abandoned monkey whose mother has scorned him. But here's the funny part, guys. And they gave him a stuffed monkey to hold on to. And that monkey looks exactly like this. Yes, I got this monkey years ago from IKEA, and my husband's like, oh my God, hun, it's your monkey, only it's much bigger, right? But most of the time, we're the monkeys that we see with Punch. They're like, ah, da, 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 like bouncing all around. And in one, they literally take poor Punch and go like this. Poor little thing, they are like insane, right? So to have a monkey mind, raise your hand if you've had a monkey mind in your life, yes. Yes, put it down. I also refer to my mind as a squirrel on cappuccino. Yeah, it's like I could literally be thinking 6 things at the same time, and also teaching yoga at the same time. You think I'm looking at you, but I'm actually like, whoa. Right. And so that's like, sometimes it's productive, I can't lie, but most of the time it just makes me a little insane. So we don't want this monkey mind. The good monkey mind refers to this guy. Hanuman. If you were to walk into my apartment right now, I have 5 Hanuman t-shirts. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 9 representations of this guy in my apartment. The only person I have more in my apartment is Krishna, right? So Hanuman represents to me the good monkey mind. And so I'll be telling some stories about this amazing personality and really the lessons that he teaches us all along the way. And lesson number 1 is, I just called him a monkey, and he's not. He's not. He kind of looks like he is, right? He's got the monkey face. You can't tell in this one, but he is ripped, man. He's got a six-pack. He's got a tail. He's very, very proud of. But he's not a monkey. He looks like a monkey, but he's actually a type of being called a Vanara. And even that is a lesson. Because how often in our lives do we look at something and think we know what it is? Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink, is based completely on that. That we look at stuff, and in a blink of an eye, we think we know what and who someone is because of these senses. And one of the things that the Bhakti texts tell us is our senses are imperfect, our senses are very flawed. And that's just physical senses. I'm at the point where I wear contact lenses and sometimes wear glasses too. Our senses are completely cracked. What to speak of the conditioning of our mind? And so listen, he's not a monkey. We look and think monkey. Just like, raise your hand if you've had anyone ever look at you and judge you simply by the way you look. Right? It's real. It reminds me of this story. It comes from the Jewish folktale tradition, and it's about this guy who's sort of a shapeshifter. And one day this shapeshifter fellow is walking, and he sees a house where there's a wedding going on. And in front of the house where there's a wedding going on, the man is saying, the father of the bride says, come one, come all are welcome. Come into my daughter's wedding. And the shapeshifter looks at this fellow and says, all are welcome. Well, I'm going to test that. And the shapeshifter morphs himself into now the clothes of a beggar. His clothes are ripped and he's dirty and he's got like 1 tooth left in his head. And he goes up to the man who's saying, come in, all are welcome. But when the father of the bride sees the shapeshifter looking like a beggar, he goes, oh no, not you. And the shapeshifter laughs. And he changes again. And now he comes looking like a king with a turban and peacock feathers and rings on his fingers. And this time, the guy says, oh, come in, you are truly welcome. And so the shapeshifter comes and he sits at the table, and when the food is brought out, he does a very interesting thing. He takes the food from this banquet feast and he puts it in all the different pockets of his clothes. And the father of the bride says, what are you doing? I gave you food, you're putting it on your clothes. And the shapeshifter says, I'm just giving the food to who you invited in here today. And the father of the bride says, I invited you in today. And the shapeshifter says, no, you didn't. Because earlier today, I came like a beggar. And you didn't let me in. But I came looking like this, and you let me in. You sat me at the table. You gave me your finest food. So you said all were welcome, but you didn't really mean it. And so when we look at our pal Hanuman and go, monkey, and ascribe him to all the qualities, it's just like all those times. And we've all had it happen. We've all had it happen. Someone looks, and like Gladwell says, with a blink of an eye, they make an assumption of who we are. And most of the time, it's wrong. And so if it's happened to us, like there's a beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Gita that says that one that can really see with equal vision, Samadarshanan, sees that there's the sameness in a brahmana, in a cow, in a dog eater, right? When we make these blanket assumptions based on literally the furthest, like what we are as a soul, and literally the skin of your body is literally the furthest thing from what you actually are. It's a disservice. It's a disservice. And we don't like it when it happens to us. So let us not do it to others. So that when I was thinking about it, I call him, he's not. So that's like the first lesson of Hanuman for today. Now the second lesson is, Hanuman has 3 fathers. So nice. He has a Vanara father who's a big, strong, these sort of like monkey kind of people, they're very big and very strong, right? So he's a dad, and then his other 2 fathers, and I don't know how to say this politely. His seed comes from Lord Shiva. Okay, everybody getting what I'm saying about the seed comes from Lord Shiva, and this seed is flown by Lord Vayu, the Lord of the Wind. So Hanuman has 3 dads. He has a fellow Vanara that looks like him. We could basically say Lord Shiva. I mean, that ain't no joke. I mean, Lord Shiva, his seed. And then it is carried to him by Vayu, Lord of the Wind. So a lot of times you just hear that. Like MC Yogi had this song, Hanumanji, son of the wind, Lord of the monkeys, Rama's best friend. Good song, look it up. And he doesn't go into that. Yeah, my husband and I was like, but I found a lesson in that because I too feel like I have 3 dads. I have the wonderful man, Morris Owen Pasquale Sr., who has left this planet quite some time ago. I had another father, Mr. Kostas Gus Andros, who was my ballet teacher and my mentor for a very long time. And of course, I have my spiritual father, His Holiness Damodar Swami. And so this part of the lesson, I always think, so many of us have people, and it could be some sort of parental, doesn't have to be father or mother, but how many of us have these parental figures, these guides in our life, right? We didn't get to where we are by ourselves. We had so many, everything. Sometimes I think about, like, I know how to tie my shoes. Not well, but I do. Like, who taught me that? Who taught me how to brush my teeth? Who taught me the word, I actually do think about this, the word intrepid. Where the heck did I learn that word? Like, what do I know that word? Like, who taught me? And so it's always a reminder that we stand on the shoulders of so many people. And it's so, one of the things I love about the Bhakti tradition is, before every class, there is a thanking of the teachers. There is an acknowledgement that we are born in the darkness of ignorance until a spiritual master opened our eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. And what do? We give them thanks again and again and again. And so it's important in our lives to remember those people, to thank these people, because it's oftentimes the people like that we just kind of like take for granted, right? We don't say thank you. And especially if you, 2 of the 3 I named, I can't anymore say thank you to, because I can pray, and I'm sure they hear me, right? But it's nice to take the opportunity to the people that are in life that gave birth to us in some way or the other to give thanks. So that's another lesson that I thought about, that Hanuman has 3 dads, and we all have so many people that really give birth to so many different parts of us. And so Hanuman's name wasn't Hanuman when he was born. His name is Maruti. And he's, so he's more, think of him as a baby more like this guy. I don't have slideshows, but I do have stuff to yeah. Remember, I am a clown. She was lucky I didn't bring my rubber chickens. Then things really get crazy, right? So he's more of this guy, and I always, I'm the younger sister of 3 older brothers, who like a pack full of prepubescent boys. There's like a pack full of monkeys. So I totally get this. So he's got a lot of action. He's figuring out, and he is a ferocious eater. And this again, because I am the younger sister of 3 brothers, I saw this. They were like, my brothers were like locusts descending on the other. Like, and even though I was they were my senior, my mom would over go, fix your brother's lunch. I'm like, they at least one of them is 8 years older than me. They can't get their own lunch, but anyway, so I would always like be feeding my brother. So Hanuman is a ferocious eater. And one day he looks up in the sky and he sees this big golden orangey kind of thing. It looks like a mango. Any mango lovers here? Good. Any lovers of our mango cake that we have here? What? Yeah. Domino's like, yeah. I got to get that recipe because that is serious. If you haven't had it, you need to check that out. Right? So he looks at that mango on the side and goes, yes. And he bends his little knees. Oh, we have the thing so I can demonstrate. Whoa. Reaching towards the mango in the sky. Well, the mango is the sun. It's actually right. So that's problematic. So he's jumping and reaching towards the sun, and it's problematic because the sun's like, dude, I am not a mango, and I don't want to be eaten. And also, there's this other personality who actually is given the boon that every once in a while they can eat the sun. So they're looking at this guy jumping, and they're like, wait, no, today's my day to eat the sun. Hey! So they go to Lord Indra, the king of the demigods, who rides around this little sky elephant. And they go, Indra, this little dude is trying to eat the sun. That's not fair. You got to stop him. So Indra takes his lightning bolt and throws it at Hanuman. It hits him in the jaw, breaks his jaw, and that's when his name becomes Hanuman, because it means broken jaw. And he falls, whoa, boom, to the ground. Now, remember I said Hanuman has 3 fathers, one of which is Lord Vayu, the Lord of the Wind. And if your other dads aren't around, the wind's always around, isn't it? It's like, shh, shh. Do I have any parents in here? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, let me ask you, Chandra, are you more upset if I hit you, if I hit one of your kids?
You hit one of my kids?
That's right. You know. You want to go? Right. So it is, and you can think about like in your life, the people, it's what I call the don't be talking about my mama thing. You can say whatever you want about me, but don't talk about my mama. So Vayu's like, oh my, you can't do that. You hit my poor little baby. His jaw is broken, and if you've ever like had anything with your jaw, it is not a pleasant experience. So he decides to like take revenge. So we think about the wind is everywhere. The wind is everywhere. And the wind carries the oxygen that everything needs to breathe. So Lord Vayu, he sucks in all the wind. He sucks in all the air. And what happens if all the wind and all the air go away?
We can't.
Yes. Hi, friends coming in. Yes. Hey, cousin. So everything in the planet starts to shrivel up and die, and the demigods are going, oh boy, whoa, and I'll scoot back so you're not quite so much. She's like, oh, close, really close, and I'm seeing up her nose. That's odd. So everything in the planet starts to shrivel up and die, and everyone's like, the demigods are like, no, Vayu, you've got to stop, you've got to stop, you've got to stop. You're going to kill everything. And Vayu says, okay, I will stop. I will give back the air if all of you demigods give some powers, give a little bit of all your powers to my sweet little baby. And so that's the deal. So all of the, think about it. From the God of the ocean, the God of the wind, the God of the fire, all of those powers. Forget about Infinity Wars from the Avengers. Like, this tops it so much. It's like when what's-his-face gets all those rings, Thanos gets all those rings. Yes, Hanuman now has like 2 fists of all those powers, and now he is arguably the most powerful thing in the universe. So I'm going to pause right there, but there's another lesson in it, in it. It's the love that we feel for our people. Just like, it was worse for Bio than if somebody hit him. It's worse for us when somebody hurts our loved ones. Yeah? And I kind of love that, because that shows us the softness in our heart. And that's actually how Krishna feels about us. He doesn't, he's like that. It's like, don't hurt my children. And who are God's children? That's all of us. Don't be mean to my children. Don't hurt. And it's interesting to think about, like, that when we're mean to someone, we're hurting Krishna's children. We're hurting God's children. And just like any parent would like that. That's not so cool. So he's given all of these powers. But now, if you think, so again, think of a really active, so my nephew Joey is 13 years old. He has dimples that are like the Grand Canyon. He is fearless. He's adopted, so he's not like the average Pasquale, because he will actually be taller than 5'6". So he's got arms, and he's the kid that runs up mountains and throws himself off. He's that kid. He'll ride his bike so fast, take his arms and legs off, and careen down, completely fearless, right? And he will do anything. Think about that kind of kid, and now they have all the powers of all the demigods. Right? Trouble. So the demigods are like, okay, we made that pact. You have to get for the oxygen, but oh crap, now what do we do? Because now he's just like. So a deal was made that he would have all those powers, but he would forget them. Forget them until just the right moment. And there's a lesson for us in there too. There's things about ourselves that we've forgotten. Right? There are things, there's like one of the biggest things that we forget is that, like I always love when parents say, we're not who we think we are. We've forgotten what we are. This is kind of Yoga Philosophy 101. We've forgotten that we're a soul that is eternal, ever knowledgeable, and ever blissful. And we've begun to think that we're, as nice as this is, we've begun to think we're that. It's like this story of Indra. Indra gets in a lot of trouble. You hear lots of stories. Indra gets banished from the heavens and has to take birth on earth as a pig, right? And at first he's all like, I'm king of the heavens, what the heck? Oh, I got. But he's then in a pig body. So when you're in a pig body, you start to think piggy thoughts. And so all of a sudden the mud is like, you know what, this is actually really good for my skin. I actually gotta look at it. Like, and, oh, that pig girl. She's looking kind of cute. And yeah, the little tail. Oh, well, yeah, girl, I like that curly tail. Yes, I do. Yes. And you know what? That half-eaten thing wrapped in some stool, actually, if you look at it right, it could be a glove gentleman. Yes, so he begins to embrace being a pig. He marries the piggy girl. He starts eating all the stuff. He has many, many pig children because pigs have a ton of children. And he's living a piggy life. He's completely forgotten who he is. That is Indra. God of the heavens, he rides around on a sky elephant. For God's sakes, he can make clouds come and rain and lightning bolts. He's completely forgotten. Until one day the demigods come and go, Indra, even though you mess up, we need you back up there. And he's like, nope, I'm good. Like, no, Indra, come. No, I'm good. Come on, honey. No. Until finally they get him to remember, you are not a pig. And so that's like, I completely forgot about these powers we forget. And our superpower that we forget is A, that we're a soul, and B, that this mind is a machine. And until AI completely takes over next week, I think Wednesday, we still take this little finger and turn it on and turn it off. It does not control us. It doesn't, and we forget that. The mind isn't the monkey gone crazy. We have control, and I always say, it feels impossible sometimes, doesn't it? It feels like it feels like you can't, but you all have. I know you all have, because there's been. Oh, cool. See, squirrel the cappuccino, squirrel. Right. Because there's been a time in your life where you've wanted to say something or do something and you haven't done it. Right? You have shown restraint. Why? Because you remembered in the nick of time that this isn't in control, that we control it. Remember that guy, Cesar Milano, who was the dog whisperer guy, and he said when he came to the United States, he was shocked. He was like, you guys let that dog rule your house. Like, that ain't a thing. You're the alpha, right? And so that's like the mind. It's a spoiled child, and we let it. And so we've forgotten that we have dominion over it. Yeah, so that's another story. That's another lesson from Hanuman's story. Then, also, Hanuman was a seeker, like anybody in this room is a seeker, and he learned really, really quickly. And one day, with the seeker's mind, he was sitting up on a hill, and all of a sudden, he sees these two personalities walking towards him. They almost look like the sun and the moon. They're like glowing. And something in him knows these are the people that I have been seeking. And so I'll stop there because I'll go on a little bit with the story. But isn't it that when we really hone and focus our mind and make our intention, I want to find that spiritual path. I want to find that teaching. I want to find that place. One of what we call, I'm thinking eggshell. Why can I say it? The nutshell verses of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, I, dwelling within, light the way. Right? When God sees that we are looking, they light the candle so that we then can see. Right? And it's true. It's like, what's that saying? When the seeker is ready, the teacher appears. Right? And we were just talking to one of our teachers out there, and she was saying, I'm looking for a husband. Right? But the best way to find yourself a partner is to be the person you want to be. Then you become like the magnet. And so in our lives, it's like that. When we open ourselves up to it. So everyone knows Diwali, and we light the lamps, and there's a beautiful essay I read every year at Diwali, and they light the lamps, and the people made like a runway to literally welcome God home. And so that's what we want to do, right? In this one essay I read in it, I love that he goes, the heart is the place where you keep that which you treasure the most. What would it mean to make your heart a temple? Like when someone's coming, you clean. And that's what we need to do to clean out. They're called anarthas, the things of no value in the heart that I always think of like giant dust bunnies. Things like envy and pride and arrogance and jealousy. Imagine they were things. That would be big dust bunnies. That would be dirty laundry. It would be plates with food that you had left in the sink to not get washed for 3 days. Is that where you would want to open up your door and welcome someone in with? Yeah. You clean. You put things away. And so that's what we do to attract. We make the intention, I want to learn. And here's the good thing about divinity. They want to come. Like, God doesn't want to ghost you. God isn't your friend that, like, you text and you don't hear from for 3 months. Like I say, like, Krishna is always willing to pick up your call. He wants to pick up your call. But you have to call and light that lamp within and make that. I always think, like, is my heart a place where Krishna would want to sit down and have a cup of tea? Or is it messy? Are the cushions comfy? Is it clean? Is it well lit? And when we act in certain ways, kindness, compassion, tolerance, all the things you read about in like the 13th chapter of the beautiful list and the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, all those beautiful qualities. So Hanuman had always been that. His heart was open, and he sees these two people, and he knows this is it. And so it's interesting. Even though he's forgotten his major superpowers, he can still be sort of a shapeshifter. And he changes in shape into like a little Brahmin, like a little holy man. And he walks up, and I always love this part of the story. His speech is so sweet that it makes these two people, Lord Ram, who is of course Krishna playing the most awesome king, and Lord Ram's brother, Lakshman, right? So basically divinity. And here's this little guy, he's like a little Brahmin. And it said his speech is so sweet that it melts their hearts. The Bhagavad Gita tells us what our speech should be, and it's a high bar. It says that our speech should be truthful, non-harming, not agitating to others. That's a high bar. But it's a good bar to shoot for. Years ago, I tell this story often in yoga teacher training. Years ago, I had to be silent, completely silent for two full weeks. I have a funny vocal cord. My right vocal cord literally doesn't vibrate as much as my left, and so that's why some people hear me sing and then think I could go higher. I simply cannot. It's like it just doesn't move. Right? Yeah. So they didn't know, and I was like, I don't know what's happening, and I was performing, and I had to sing, and losing my voice. And finally, this guy said, I'm doing a study, and so I have a nerve weakness in my right vocal cord. But while they were trying to diagnose me, I could not say a word, not a word, for 2 weeks. This was well before cell phones, because now you get the job done. Like, I had a little bit of this was, as we say, back in the day. So I carried around a little notepad. What it taught me was, by the time I had that funny little comeback to say the moment was over. Like by the time I do sign, I actually do, but not everybody signs. So I was like, no, you don't understand what I'm saying. Right, my husband looks back on that time as a happy time, a peaceful time, a time he wishes he can often go back to. Sorry. I just get hoarse now sometimes. That's just what happens. Yeah. So, but what it taught me was all the things I didn't need to say. All the things I simply did not need to say. And a lot of these things, that snarky little comeback, a clever little, oh, look how clever I am. I can tell this funny little joke, right? But I remember what hurt me is I missed saying thank you. I'd walk through a door and people hold the door, and I felt like such a jerk, because I was like, that's thank you in sign language, but they couldn't understand it. I just sort of smiled at that, but it's amazing the things we don't have to say. Right, and it's amazing, and I always love that juxtaposition of that verse from the Bhagavad Gita that talks about things that should be truthful but also pleasing and not agitating. Because there could be a rub there. Because I don't know about you, but I've had people use truth as a bludgeon. What? I'm just telling you the truth. Man, what? No, your butt does look big in those jeans. Right? I'm just telling you the truth. Right? Using the truth as a bludgeon. But one can be truthful, but also remember the rest of it. Pleasing and not agitating to others. Because then, like in any system, and I teach yoga, and so we talk about the Ashtanga yoga system, the word ahimsa, nonviolence, but it's in Gita, it's everywhere. That's like tenet number one: not be violent. And I said, words hurt more than a fist. You may have broken your arm like in 16 different places and had metal pins in it 10 years ago, and now you're like, what? I don't even think about it anymore. But an unkind word somebody told you when you were 7, right? That you can still feel that. And I think it's particularly important for us to remember that, because now we speak in so many different ways. My phone is wherever it is, it's in here, right? I barely talk into my phone. I don't know about you. I barely actually use it as a phone. I text. God knows I WhatsApp. Bhakti Center, we're notorious for our WhatsApp groups. I WhatsApp, I do all that, but I barely actually use the phone as the phone. But every time I am still talking. Every email, every message, right? I am still talking. And those words don't go away. Don't go away. They're still there for somebody to pull up. Much less, like, remember, our minds are malleable. Our mind's like a ball of clay. And so that unkind, that's why you remember it. I remember something my older sister said to me when I was like 9. I still remember it. Right? So Hanuman speaks with such sweet words. And it's important to watch our speech. I would say I'm very concerned about how we use, like, I crushed it, I killed it, this kind of language. Remember, everything we say, we smell, we experience is literally shaping our minds. And everything in our experience tracks back to that. So he speaks with sweet words. And they embrace him, Lord Ram and Lakshman. And in that moment, Hanuman makes a commitment. Lord Ram's wife has been kidnapped. And Hanuman makes a commitment to help find her. And this is an important part of the story too, to make a commitment, right? In our spiritual lives, at a certain point, it can't be like, oh, I'm gonna do this every 3rd Tuesday of the month, right? That's like digging shallow wells. When we make a commitment, that's where the growth comes. I would say I made 2 big vows in my life, this one and this one, right? And when you that's when the growth happens. When you commit, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do it. Because otherwise it's kind of like, it's like, okay, the Olympics just ended. Do you think those persons only worked out like once a month? Yeah. They got up at 4 a.m., did the thing, Any progress takes commitment. And so, especially in our spiritual lives, to make that commitment if we want to see growth. So he makes this commitment, Lord Ram, I will help you. And so Hanuman and some of his others of kind, they go looking everywhere. And finally they find out, this is one of my favorite parts of the Ramayana, I can't tell it, but finally they find out where Sita is. This is India. She's way over here, what is now current day Sri Lanka. And there's no bridge. It's just a big chasm of water. And everyone's thinking, oh, if someone could leap over. And all the other Vanaras, like the other kind of like monkeyish kind of people, like Hanuman, they're saying, I can do it. No, I can't. I can do it. No, I can't. But remember, Hanuman has all those superpowers, but he's forgotten. And this is one of my favorite parts of the story, and many of you know the person who bears the name of this character. And we miss him already. And all of a sudden, there's this other creature who's not really a bear, but kind of bearish. And his name is Jambavan. So yeah, for many of us and when I met Jambavan, and this is why we miss him so much, because he totally embodies this character. Jambavan is said sometimes to be one of the oldest creatures ever created. And he walks over to Hanuman and he puts his hand on Hanuman's shoulder and he says, Hanuman, remember who you are. And I've always loved that part of the story so much, Because for two reasons. There's somebody in our lives that does that for us, right? And we should give thanks. But then the real way that we give thanks for someone doing that for us is to do it for somebody else. To be that encourager. And again, that's why I think John Bobbitt's name was so good. Because he was. There is his reception. There is his soul talks. There is always encouraging. If you never met him, I'm sorry. He's in South Africa now. But he was with us for 3 years, the glorious years. But that's who he's named after. This grand encourager. And isn't it nice when we think of all the people that have encouraged? Like, I feel like that, I see this often. Like, even like the fact that I'm up here right now. I don't know why people think I am anything other than the person that should dust the pictures downstairs. But for some reason, when I walk in this building, people think that I am worthy of doing things like that. And because they encourage me, I've got to step up my game. Literally, every time I walk in the door of this building, I'm like, oh my God. I have to be the I have to be the person these people think I am. I have to be the person that's worthy of being on this page of the website, this page of the website, this page of the website, right? And it helps me up my game. And so it's nice to have those people, but also for us to be those people, to see that person in your life and literally or figuratively put your hand on their shoulder. You can do it. You got this. I say I talk about my husband a lot because he's boss. My husband is that for me. There is not a thing that I do that Jimmy doesn't go, you got it, babe, go. Today was the first day of our yoga teacher training. I've taught many yoga teacher trainings. But as I left, I said, wish me luck. He goes, you got this. Like, no matter what I do, that man thinks I can do it. And because he thinks I can do it, I somehow pull it off. You know, like Red Bull gives you wings. Not that I've ever had one, because let's just imagine me on Red Bull for a second. Oh, Krishna. I'd be like, talk about this. Right? But the people in our lives give us wings, give us some encouragement. And so the best thing we can do is then be that to somebody else. So John Bobbitt puts his hand on Hanuman's shoulder. Hanuman grows enormous. He's like, I remember who I am, and he grows enormous, and he bends his little knees, and he leaps. And his father is Lord Vayu, Lord of the Wind, right? So his father's like, you go, kiddo, and he like helps him by getting the wind. Now Varuna is the god of the water, and he's like, whoa, that's a long journey. Let me do something to make it a little easier for you. So Varuna orders this mountain that's in the water to rise up. And the mountain says, hi, Hanuman, come and have a seat. Just rest for a while. But Hanuman says, there is no rest. My Lord needs me to do this. I will not rest. Showing his determination, there is no rest. And so he keeps flying. And then all of a sudden, there's these demons that come up. This one comes up and says, I forget what movie, because you shall not pass. Yeah, is that Lord of the Rings? Yeah, thank you. That's what I'm thinking. Thou shall not pass. And he's a big serpent, right? Chandra, the first one.
Surasa.
Yeah, Surasa. So you shall not pass. And so the demon gets big, and Hanuman gets big. And the demon gets bigger, and Hanuman gets bigger. And the demon gets bigger, and Hanuman gets bigger. And then the demon gets really big and opens his mouth. And then Hanuman gets really small and flies in the mouth and out. Because he couldn't pass until he got in the mouth. So it was and so he's defeated. And so let me just stop right there. So that Hanuman's determination, sometimes we can rest on our laurels. Yeah, I'll take the nap. Yeah, thanks, I'll sit down on the mountain. Sita's been gone for such a long time. What does it matter? She's been gone a little bit longer. No. Right? We keep showing up. We keep going. In spiritual life, fortitude. Like this is a life, spiritual life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It is, again to my vows I make. Both of these are marathons. Right? They are marathons. And you work up fortitude and you keep going, but this is when you remember something Krishna says in Gita, that in the beginning feels like poison, in the end is like nectar, right? It's sometimes that push through doesn't feel, but the nectar of when we keep those commitments, when we keep going and we find the treasure. So he doesn't rest on his laurels. And then with the demon, she gets bigger. But how does he actually defeat her? He defeats her by getting small. He defeats her by taking the humble position. And humility is such a misunderstood trait. People sometimes think if you're humble, you're a chump. That's not true. His Holiness Radha Swami, I love when he said this. He said to be humble is to be honest. To be humble is actually to be honest. Because when we look at all the things that we have in our lives, we didn't do anything to get it. The number one thing that people have complimented me on my entire life, my energy level. Jen was just comment. I did absolutely nothing. I mean, I take care of myself. Okay. But thanks, Mom and Dad. DNA, thanks, Krishna. I didn't do anything to get it, so I don't have a right to get all puffed out about it. All we can do, and I was talking about this the other day about one of my bosses at another place, at Yoga Maya. Bryn asked this question once. Am I allowed to? Yeah. I guess. She asked my guru, she goes, I want to know how to be a humble badass, was the question she said. And my guru just loves her. He goes, oh, Bryn, you're so honest. He just has such an affection for her. Right. But her question was, she wanted to own the fact that she's an awesome yoga teacher. She's an amazing businesswoman. She wanted to be, how do I do that and still not be all like, right? And the way to do that is, first of all, understand that any gifts we have aren't ours. Like, again, Lord of the Rings. My precious, right? It's not for me to like hug it and just for myself. It's to be given. And when we do so, I think it's Keisha Swami said this recently. It's not to think I did that when you do something. It's just to think it's my service. It's my service. That's it. It's not like this is my service. I was given something so I can give. That's the only reason that we're ever given anything, is to give. Right? So he comes into the humble position. And being humble is so much easier than being puffed up and arrogant. Being arrogant, you got to watch your six, as they say in the TV shows all the time. You're like, who's coming after me? Who's got more than I do? Right? It's a constant defensive position. As opposed to just, like my guru says, be happy small. Be happy small. Like Chaitanya said, be like a blade of grass. We do have like one day, one blade of grass goes, excuse me, I'm better than any other piece of grass here, so everybody bow down. No. The blade of grass is like, I am part of this nice carpet, Kentucky bluegrass, other sorts of grasses, yeah. It's just so much easier. It feels much better in the heart than to be prideful and arrogant. So he leaps over, and then he gets there. He gets to Lanka, and he has to search for Sita. Goes so many places. He makes himself really small again, and he goes. And this fellow that's kidnapped Mother Sita has quite the harem. When you read the book, he's like going everywhere. There's all these women all over the place. And finally, he finds Mother Sita, and he gives her a ring to prove that he's from Lord Ram. Because at first she doesn't trust him. She was like, you could be a demon too. But he gives her the ring. And this is interesting because, we've seen Hanuman can fly. He's huge. He's got all the powers of demigods. Could he not just have, come on, scooped her and flown back? Okay. I remember the first time I read it, I was like, well, what? But no. Well, she says no because she doesn't want anyone to rescue her but her beloved, and she doesn't want anybody to touch her besides her beloved. But also, he's not out for the glory. He is happy being the servant of God. He's like, that's my job, and I'm sticking to it. I'm happy to be the servant of this great being. He never wants the glory for himself. And again, we say the humility, that's a great thing. Because again, it's like so many TV shows and movies, it's always like when somebody is like murdered, like the corporate person is murdered. Who's the first person they look at? The assistant, right? The person right under them, right? I gotta get rid of that guy so I can be in charge. And you see these systems like, wow, plotting. But Hanuman's not like that. He doesn't want that. I love Lord Ram. And when you love, you want to serve, isn't it? The people you love, that thing about, don't give Christmas gifts. Like in my family, we're always like, okay, let's not give Christmas gifts this year. But we always do, because why? We want to express our love. Literally in our text, it talks about loving exchanges, and one of them is receiving gifts, because it is a tangible way of giving love. That's what it is. So Hanuman doesn't need the glory, and he allows himself to be captured, actually. Again, think about what he could do. And he allows himself to get captured. And they wrap him all with ropes. And then monkeys are very, well, I guess because mine is actually orangutan because he doesn't have a tail. But, so the monkeys are very proud of their tails. And so when he's captured, they say, well, get this monkey. Because again, of course, as we talked earlier, he's not actually a monkey. And they light it on fire. It's like, yeah, we're going to burn this monkey's tail. Well, his father, who's the Lord of the Wind, sees that. And he blows, so even though the fire's around, it doesn't actually burn him. It's just all around, so he's not hurt. And Hanuman says, yeah? You know that song, burning down the house? Well, I'm going to do it. And he gets angry, and he takes that tail of fire, and he burns down Lanka. And there's a lesson in there, too, and it's about anger. And I remember this person once said, what is anger really but energy? It is. And there's one of our texts that says that one has to control. It's interesting. It says the actions of anger. The actions of anger. So, because anger on its own is just an energy. It's what we do with it. And there is a time when we say oftentimes everything can be a gift to God, everything can be a gift to Krishna, and you think, well, how can anger be? Because it's just such an ugly thing, isn't it? When I'm angry, I'm talking about my throat, that's how I can tell. My throat, my funny little vocal cord always goes like, and my voice gets really deep. You're right, it just, and my stomach goes like, it feels awful. But then there is righteous anger. We should be angry at the way people treat children. We should be angry that there is more than enough food in this world, in this city, that people are starving. We should be angry that there are medicines that could cure so many things and people don't have them. We should be angry that people abandon their children. And then we do something about it in the proper way, and that's what Hanuman does. He does it in the proper way, but oftentimes, right, we let the fire of the anger just go, ah! He feels it and he acts. There is, in the Bhagavatam class the other day, it was talking about if you, I think you were there, it's if you don't, while feeling the anger, and if you aren't actually deep in your spiritual practices, you could fall into the calf footprint of your anger is like the size of a calf footprint. It's tiny, but you could fall in and drown in it if you're not acting properly. So that's another lesson. So eventually he gets free and he leaves back. And he says, I found Sita. Well, they got this whole army. Everybody can't leave. So they have to build a bridge. And so Hanuman and his guys, they're big, and they're picking up great big stones, and they're putting them, and But there's all these other little critters all around, right? And they love Lord Ram, and they want to see Lord Ram get Sita. And this one little squirrel comes. And he's like, okay, I'm going to pick up a little rock, and I'm going to put it here. And squirrels' hands are like that big. Literally. And Hanuman's like, yo, squirrel, you good and everything, but sit down. I think we've got this. And Lord Ram says, no, Hanuman. The squirrel wants to give through his capacity. Let him do what he can do. And there's such a great lesson. We all can't, like, at least I can't. I can't save the world. I don't have the capacity to do some of the things that need to be done. But I can do something. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, what does he say? He says, you can give me a leaf, a flower, a drop of water. He doesn't say, give me the whole bouquet. He doesn't say, give me the tree. He doesn't say, give me the ocean. As long as it's done with what? With devotion, with love. Mother Teresa says there are no great acts. There's only small things done with great love. And that's what we can do. And when we're feeling, I know when there's a song, the musical group Sweet Honey in the Rock, they're so good, and they have a song, when you're feeling helpless, help someone. There's always something you can do. You can hold up a door, you can have a compliment, you could give up a seat. Reach into your bag and find a quarter, although, giving changes because we don't walk around. There's always something you can do. It doesn't have to be big, because most of the time, it's the little things in life. And so that was a lesson actually for Hanuman there. He's like, he learned. And so, fast forwarding so many wonderful things to the story, they build the bridge and everybody marches over this big war. And literally, Hanuman upstages God in the Ramayana. Lord Ram is God, but Hanuman does so many things. Think about it. His powers and his giving are so much that he basically almost upstaged the main character in the story. But in the end, Sita is taken back. And they get into, I love this part of the story, they get in a giant spaceship that's powered by the mind. If we think Apollo whatever in the 1960s was a spaceship, we are wrong. It was great big. And it's cool because it can make as big or as small as you want. So all these people get on, and this is what Diwali is. They were flying back, and it was a moonless night. And so all the people where Lord Ram came from, they were afraid, and I love this part, it's like, he's flying in a spaceship powered by his mind and just killed the biggest, baddest demon this whole time. But maybe he won't be able to see, so it's out of there, it's like no matter how old you are, your parents are like, button up your coat, this that thing, and so they light those duyas, those little lamps, and they make like a runway. So that big spaceship, so that's what Diwali is, and so they land, and back to that thing of that's what we have to do. We have to light the lamp in our heart. So it's like doing like those at the airport, going like this. Over here, Krishna. Right. Land inside the heart. And so they get back, and all the people where Lord Ram is from are super, super happy to get him back. And then, like I said, when you love someone, you want to do things for them. So they're like, oh, let's do this. But Hanuman does it. Well, let's do this. Hanuman does it because he's so fast and he can do everything. And then they get a little mean girls. They're like, well, seriously, Hanuman can do everything and doesn't leave anything for us to do. I know what we'll do. And so they make a list and they write all of the things that Lord Ram might need to be done. Like, Lord Ram, he might need somebody to hand him his toothbrush, but he needs somebody to tie his shoelaces. Dun, dun. They think of everything, and they give themselves all assignments. I'm going to do this, and they think of everything they could possibly think of, and they leave no room for Hanuman, and they post it up on the wall. And it's sort of like, I never did this, but it's sort of like you're in a school and they have like, the tryouts were yesterday. You get to see if you make the team, and everybody runs over and looking for their name, and Hanuman's like, huh, okay. And he shrugged his shoulder and walked away, and they're all like, yes, we got him. There's nothing for him to do. But they see him, he's completely undisturbed. And they notice all day long, Lord Ram's walking around. And right behind him, Hanuman's right behind him. And they're doing the thing, and he's just walking. And at the end of the day, Lord Ram starts to yawn. And quick like lightning, Hanuman takes his form and goes, up, cover Lord Ram's mouth. And he said, I see that you gave yourself all assignments, but I see that no one took the job of covering Lord Ram's mouth when he yawned, so I will take that service. And then they felt really stupid. Right? And again, to the point that there is, like, if you're looking to serve, you'll find a way. If your heart is in the service mood, you will find some way to give. Remember, it doesn't have to be big. Not all of us are going to do the big thing. But our friend Lotta Lilal, I love her so much. She does this every day. She does it every day. She says every day she puts $1 in her pocket and gives it away to somebody, and she walks up to a woman she doesn't know and compliments them every day. And isn't it nice when somebody you don't know walks up in the train and says, oh,
Chandrasekhar's phone.
Hey! Hi, Moran. How are you? Dip it in for I have a Swami looking over my shoulder. If that would be really funny if I looked around. Hey, Mirage. Okay. So again, it goes. Oh, too bad. Okay. That's funny. Whose phone is that connected to? Shoot for luck. There's a Swami peeking over my shoulder. He was probably calling with corrections. No, Jamuna Jaya, that's not what happened. But then again, it tells us about the wonders and how wonderful small service is. Like one of my mentors always said, it's good to have a secret small service. Like a lot of my services are very forward facing. I always say I've spent my entire life in front of people. I'm a performer, I teach yoga, I'm in front of people so often. I'm so tired of hearing the sound of my own voice. So I'm always in front of people. But then I won't tell you what it is, but there's something I do around here that nobody knows about and no one sees. And I love that. Because it's my tiny little secret service secret service. Earwig. Is my little, that only I know. And so there's no one gonna go, yeah. But I do it because it's mine to do. And it's tiny. It's a tiny little thing, but it's still service. And so I think that's always important. We all have lives and jobs and families and think we don't have time and space to do something. There's always something we can do. And so Hanuman, so we're coming to the end and I'll open up for questions, yeah. So they all learn a lesson, and Hanuman he's an amazing servant. And again, he doesn't do it for his own glory. He does it because he loves. And what happens when you show someone you love them so much? They love you. You captured them. And I forgot to wear that shirt. I have actually my husband gave me a shirt that has this picture. The first time I went to India when I came back, he bought it for me. There's a very famous picture of Lord Ram, God, hugging Hanuman. And Lord Ram is saying, Hanuman, I can't repay you. You helped me find my wife. You basically brought my brother back to life. You helped defeat the demons. You've shown me so much love. And isn't it true, the love that people sometimes have, you simply can't repay. I cannot repay the love that my mother's given me all these years. I can never repay the love my husband gives me. I can never repay the mercy and the love that my guru has given me. I can never repay it. And so in that way, and God wants to be captured. Many of you know the story of Krishna, and he gets bound in the waist by his mother, and it's not the rope, it's her love. So God wants to be caught. He wants to be caught by our love. And so he's just waiting. If we love. And then he's like, I got nothing. Look, I literally have nothing. All I can give you is me. And then we can come into his warm embrace. So let me just, I just wrote down in summary some of the lessons, and then I'll just open up for any questions. So one of them was like, going back to the original, when do I judge on appearances? Who have been the parents in my life? What helps me remember I'm a spirit soul and not forget? God bless you. Let me be open to receiving teachers. May my speech be pleasing and truthful, beneficial, and non-agitating. Let me commit to my spiritual practices. How can I encourage others on their path? Let me have fortitude on my own path. My deeds are not to make me puffed up, but they're simply my service. I see injustice and act, but from a high platform. Any service is great. And may I have a heart so full of love that it captures the divine. So, thank you guys so much. Any questions, corrections, as my friend Willie Gopal says, any good jokes? Anything for me?
Sure, I got one. Earlier you talked about how when you're ready for someone to teach you become someone that's like the best that you want to be, right? Do you ever feel like you become someone that they want you to be instead of someone that you want to be?
Oh, that's a very good question. Yeah, it's that is a trap that you can fall into, and that's where, again and again, going into it. You know, there's this thing we say, a guru sadhu shastra. You got to have guardrails. Whenever you become like a teacher or a mentor, everybody, you have to have your own guardrails in place, hard guardrails. So you have people in your life and the text in your life that keep you from thinking you're all that and the bag of chips, and also morphing into what other people want you to be, right? And that's where you do introspection. You have the people in your life to talk to, and you look at who you actually are, because it is easy. It's like, well, that person wants me to do that, I'll just do that. And it can start really innocuously. I'm just going to be in service, I'm going to be that. And you find yourself walking away from what you really are. But those two things, having the Raghunath Kapil calls that having the guardrails in your life of people that will tell you the truth, of a teacher, and looking at the text to keep you on point, and a lot of introspection in your own self. But yeah, good question. You're welcome. Yes.
So earlier you said that, like, in order to be a woman at something, you need to be smaller than her, right? You said something like that, like.
He beat the demon by getting smaller. Is that what you're talking about?
You said, like, I don't know. You said something about like a woman to beat her. It
A
was
demon. A demon.
Oh.
Thank you. I talk fast, so thank you. Yes.
Okay.
A demon. Yeah. I don't know how much smaller you can get than me.
But I am so curious, like, a demon, why you have to be smaller to be a demon?
The point was that his getting small was to represent. He kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and she got bigger and bigger. But when he made himself small, and that's when I talked about humility. When we make ourselves come into a humble position as opposed to a puffed up position, we're actually more powerful. When we come from arrogance and being puffed up, we're like this. Again, it's like, who's good at it? When we're humble, we're not looking for the person to attack from the back. We're accepting we are who we are, and we're happy to be who we are, and we're very grateful to be who we are. Whereas opposed to somebody that's puffed up is like, it's never enough. Bring it. So he didn't keep inflating himself. It's sort of like if someone's in a fight, and it's like, yeah, okay. Oh. Right? He came down, and that's actually how he was able to fly in her mouth and fly back out. He didn't keep getting bigger and bigger, and that symbolizes that he took a humble position instead of trying to be more and more arrogant.
So you perform better when you just, like, be yourself. And
yeah, you always. Yeah, I think we're always. Let's put it this way: we're always gonna be a better version of ourselves. when we're coming from a platform of humility as opposed to a platform of arrogance. Right? Nobody likes anybody who's arrogant or entitled. It's not a good look. Right? So we're always going to, and actually closer to what we actually are, like to the point of Hanuman is like, he didn't need the power. I am happy to be your helper. You do so much service around here. You know, you're obviously moving things in. Nobody puts your name above the Bhakti Center. You're happy to do this service. That's just who you are. So you're in a better position than if you were walking around. It's like, you know, I put out the chairs all the time. Could I have my name above the Bhakti Center? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And thank you for your service.
No, thank you.
And yes.
So I was thinking you were talking about Hanuman following Rama when he didn't have any tasks assigned to him.
Yeah.
And that made me think a little bit of, I was thinking, did Hanuman had good sleep? Was he eating? I don't know why the yeah, seriously, the idea
That's
of
your loving heart. You think
like
about it.
no, I was thinking about self-care, and I was thinking about boundaries to some extent. So I wanted to ask you how that falls within humility, service, and love. It's like, yeah.
That's a really good question because it is really easy to burn yourself out. It really is. And if you're a person that's got the serving propensity, you just want to give and give and give and give and give. And we talk about it all the time. Service. I mean, bhakti means devotional service. So that's, and it's going to be, Hanuman, you didn't have to worry about him. Like he's got this. But this is where being honest with yourself. Yeah, and boundaries, because the best way I think, you have to ask yourself, is it sustainable? Right, again, like making commitment to something. I always remember when I was striving for initiation, and I was chanting maybe 6 rounds, and I sat in front of my guru and said, okay, I'm going to start chanting 12 rounds. I'll never forget this. He leaned back, he switched the cross of his legs, and he said, pick something you can do. And I was like, okay, I'll do 7. Good. You know, I was like he saw right through me. Right. So that's when we really have to be honest to make it sustainable. You want to make your life sustainable so you can keep doing your service. So I kind of cringe a little bit with self-care. That's the thing about me. I feel like I need to be rougher on myself, quite frankly. I'm like stop it. Right. So but we want to do that which will keep us the longest on the service, and if we do that, then that's good. Like the thing about, you know, we keep the body, maintain your body. Why? Not so we can look good, because we can do the service. Yeah.
We
It's
want
time
to
for
keep
kirtan.
going and going, but
Yeah, let's hit it.
we
Let's
are
hit
at
it.
time. Thank you so much, Jamuna Jaya. See, the gem of our community. I didn't lie. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, sharing your heart. I feel very inspired myself. Who is feeling inspired to make a positive change in our lives? See,
Hanuman.
Jai. We want you back. Please come back soon, and we'll have some kirtan mantra meditation for about 15 minutes, and then followed by dinner.
You want to have everything, but I can't get that.
Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful talk. Thank you so much, Jamuna. Now we put words into action. We learned about the good monkey mind. And the good monkey mind is one that is disciplined, spiritually guided, full of gratitude and compassion. So with kirtan we can engage our minds to make it good. We're going to sing the Maha Mantra. We encourage you to listen to the mantra as you sing, as I sing, as we all sing together. And you'll find your monkey might play up, the mind might wander away, go to other things. We'll make it a good monkey mind and bring it back. You are Hanuman, you are capable of greater things. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Thank you all for your wonderful singing. We'll sing together one more time. This time you can share as a gift what you have been feeling and experiencing. You can send it out to the world. There's a lot of pain, a lot of hurt in the world right now. There's a need for a lot of healing. So raise your arms in the air to open your heart and sing with love as your gift, as your blessing to the world. Hare Krishna, Hare